We firmly believe in the magic of colorful capsules. We spend thousands on dietary supplements in the hope that pretty plastic will cancel out years of bodily abuse. It is comforting to think that health is an elite club for those who can afford a long pharmacy receipt. Pharma giants give this naivety a standing ovation, but the harsh truth is that the most aggressive cellular therapy is currently wilting away at the bottom of your fridge. We pour down the drain and toss into the trash what clinics charge hundreds of dollars for. Salvation costs pennies. They just forgot to give us the instruction manual. It is time to expose this gastronomic conspiracy and descend into the chemical lab disguised as your kitchen. Why do cold potatoes repair the gut better than any prebiotics? How does a pinch of cheap mustard literally resurrect the killed cancer defense in broccoli? Why do we throw away watermelon rinds if they are free Viagra? And why pay for hyaluronic acid when it is in dirt cheap broth? Today, your worldview will burst at the seams. Notebooks on the table. Natsuri. Initiating download. Number 1. Cold gut reboot. Visualize a typical scene. A lazy dinner, freshly boiled potatoes steaming on the table. For centuries, we considered them just heavy carbohydrate fuel, inevitably causing guilt and adding weight. It always seemed like the most primitive resource in the food simulation, but if you put those same potatoes in the fridge and let them cool completely, a quiet but massive data compilation happens inside their starch matrix. The carbohydrate physically changes its structure, turning into what is called resistant starch. From the perspective of the body's system architecture, it stops being absorbed as regular energy and goes into stealth mode, bypassing the stomach to land straight in the lower digestive tract. There, it works as a powerful data recovery utility, feeding our microflora with such terrifying efficiency that expensive capsule prebiotics lose all meaning. This is literal data caching, where the system stops wasting resources on digestion and begins a deep defragmentation of beneficial bacteria. Apparently, the creator of this simulation was absolutely sure we would finish yesterday's cold leftovers and decided to generously reward us for basic household laziness with an elite survival buff. Number 2. The Alchemist's Timer. The mechanics here painfully resemble a buggy role-playing game. We enthusiastically chop garlic and instantly toss it into boiling soup, hoping for legendary virus protection. The biochemical truth is that in this state, its benefits drop to absolute zero. To activate its healing properties, garlic must be crushed and strictly left alone for 10 minutes right on the cutting board. Only then does oxygen exposure trigger a complex enzymatic reaction that generates a lysine, a natural antibiotic of such destructive power that even Golden Staff surrenders to it. In game design terms, this is a classic delayed cast. You cannot just press a button and get the result. You must activate the skill and wait for the loading bar to fill while oxygen compiles the combat script. For years, we have destroyed this precious loot with heat simply because we never bothered to read the system manual. Nature literally handed us a weapon of microbial mass destruction, but made its activation dependent on our patience. Number 3. The Dental Crutch. It sounds like a scene from a surreal movie, but ordinary dried cloves from the spice aisle hold a secret that modern medicine still cannot beat. We are used to adding these tough brown buds to mulled wine or marinades, ignoring their true purpose. Sewn into this tiny wooden texture is eugenol, a substance with the properties of a massive local anesthetic and antiseptic. If you chew just one bud near an aching tooth, an instant block of pain receptors occurs, as if someone unplugged the cable from your nervous system's mainframe. This is a literal hard-coded patch for fixing a critical error in the dental department. Moreover, professional dentists still actively use this extract in temporary fillings because synthetic analogs simply fail to handle the task as elegantly. It is an incredibly ironic situation. We spend fabulous sums on painkillers and rustling packages, even though the developer of reality left a free pain cheat code on the spice rack long ago. Number 4. The Jelly Matrix. Remember that weird, wobbly childhood dessert that always seemed like a completely useless indulgence? Gelatin costs mere pennies and looks ridiculous, but beneath this humble shell lies the purest collagen and glycine. Our body perceives this product not as food, but as a cheap spare parts kit for repairing the server rack. If you eat a portion of this jelly before bed, glycine acts as a forced processor cooling script. It radically drops anxiety, shuts down background processes releases in the brain and puts the body into deep sleep mode. While we dream, collagen structures quietly patch worn-out joints and restore tissue elasticity. This is a full nightly system defragmentation for a laughable price. We are ready to pay fortunes for bottles of melatonin and trendy joint supplements, entirely missing the fact that a comprehensive maintenance tool for our body was always sitting in the next supermarket aisle. It seems the universe has a very specific sense of humor, hiding the elixir of youth and calm in a packet of meat jelly powder. Number 5. Necromancy on a plate. If we translate culinary laws into the language of dark magic, we commit crimes against our own health every single day. When we boil broccoli, the heat processing ruthlessly destroys sulforaphane, a unique compound capable of blocking the development of cancer tumors at the cellular level. We chew on tasteless green mush, sincerely believing in its benefits, even though the useful code has already been wiped from memory. But here comes a pinch of the cheapest mustard powder. It contains the enzyme myrosinase, which when dropped onto boiled cabbage works as a resurrection plugin. It recompiles the broken links and literally brings the anti-cancer substance back to life right on our plate. This is not just chemistry, it is legalized system necromancy. You take a dead piece of vegetable, sprinkle it with mustard seed dust, and it starts running at full capacity again. The developers of biological species clearly slacked off by creating such a fragile defense mechanism, but as an apology, they left us a backup recovery tool in the neighboring spice jar. Number 6. A legal stamina cheat code. We are used to associating sports doping with secret labs, neon test tubes, and career risks. The hidden mechanics of this process destroy that illusion entirely. Ordinary beetroot juice, burgundy, and earthy in taste, hides nitric oxide, a molecule that acts on our blood vessels like a nitro boost in a racing simulator. Once in the system, it instantly expands the bloodstream highways, dropping blood pressure and increasing oxygen bandwidth. Muscles receive such a massive influx of resources that their overall stamina shoots up by 16%. This is no metaphor, but a dry system log. Your biological avatar suddenly starts running longer, lifting more, and tiring slower. Professional athletes have been exploiting this bug for years, chugging liters of fresh beet juice before a race. Sports committees' anti-cheat algorithms are absolutely powerless because you cannot disqualify a human for loving root vegetables. Nature handed out infinite stamina codes and disguised them as an ingredient for soup. Number 7. The soup firewall for migraines. Our ancestors intuitively guessed it, but we forgot, turning cooking into a mindless ritual. Every one of us has fished a tough bay leaf out of a bowl and irritably tossed it into the trash. From a system perspective, we were throwing away premium software. Hidden within the structure of this leaf is parthenolide, a unique compound capable of blocking the pathological serotonin production that triggers destructive migraine attacks. A brew of these leaves works as a strict spam blocker in our brain center. It simply cuts off malicious impulses from reaching the blood vessels in the head, relieving severe pain much faster and safer than a handful of colorful pills with unpronounceable names. We are used to seeing this greenery as useless decor, a low-resolution texture they forgot to delete from the game's final release. But it turns out to be a built-in firewall protecting our processor from critical overheating and a subsequent blue screen of death. Throwing a bay leaf out of the broth is like deleting your antivirus to save disk space. Number 8. Trash armor. The scenario unfolds right in your kitchen. We carefully peel an onion, remove the rustling golden skin, and toss it in the bin without a second thought, keeping only the juicy white core. The system monitor shows the exact opposite. We just threw away the most valuable piece of loot. That dry shell contains hundreds of times more quercetin than the onion itself. Quercetin acts as the ultimate antihistamine shield in our body, blocking allergic reactions at the software level. Simply tossing an unpeeled onion into boiling broth is enough for the liquid to absorb this protective code. We spend massive resources buying pharmacy meds for seasonal allergies, complaining about the injustice of fate, while the strongest immune armor goes to the landfill every day alongside potato peels. The creator's logic is incomprehensible. He packed the most effective medicine into a wrapper we are programmed to destroy. It is the perfect attention test that humanity fails miserably every single day. Number 9. The Encrypted Archive. Here, the Matrix developers installed hard encryption to test our wits. Flax seeds are sold everywhere, cost practically nothing, and promise us incredible reserves of omega-3 and lignans that protect cells from cancerous mutations. We happily sprinkle them on trendy smoothie bowls, eat them up, and wait for a miracle. However, reality makes its own adjustments. If you swallow these seeds whole, they will pass through your digestive tract in absolute transit without yielding a single bite of useful information. Their shell is so tough that stomach acid simply cannot hack it. It is a classic encrypted zip archive that our system cannot unpack without a third-party program. The secret is ridiculously simple. They must be run through a coffee grinder before consumption. Only physical destruction of the shell grants access to the healing code. We naively assumed it was enough to just put a useful item in our inventory, forgetting that using it requires a special tool and a bit of technical savvy. Number 10. The Spice Turbo Mode. Let us look at this through the lens of the gaming industry, where combining items spawns a new entity. Yellow turmeric powder is widely advertised as a massive anti-inflammatory, a cure-all, and a secret to longevity. But there is a hidden system bug. Our body barely absorbs its active compounds. You can eat it by the spoonful, but the benefits will be minimal because the code is region locked for us. But just add a pinch of ordinary black pepper to this mix, and magic happens. Piperine from the pepper reacts with the turmeric, boosting its bioavailability by an insane 2,000%. This is not just an upgrade, it is a crazy damage multiplier against inflammation that hacks the liver's defensive barriers and allows the healing components to enter the bloodstream. Nature imposed strict two-factor authentication on absorbing this spice, and without black pepper, your password will be constantly rejected. The great engineer clearly loved creating complex potion crafting quests. Number 11. The Paralytic Firewall. From a system security standpoint, intestinal parasites are hackers that secretly connected to our server and boldly steal resources while staying invisible to internal scanners. We run to the pharmacy for toxic pills that scorch our microflora with napalm just to get rid of the uninvited guests. Yet the solution lies in a bowl of plain pumpkin seeds. Hidden in their green shell is the amino acid cucurbitин, which acts on tapeworms like a targeted electromagnetic pulse. It does not kill them directly, it literally paralyzes their nervous system. The hostile code loses its ability to grip the intestinal walls, disconnects from our server, and is gently flushed out the natural way. This is the most elegant way to terminate an unauthorized connection without damaging your own hardware. We do not need to wipe the entire operating system to delete one virus. We just need to load a handful of seeds into the stomach and watch the intruders get a permanent ban and leave the location. At this point, logic seems to have left the chat, but we are only getting warmed up because truly deep reality bugs lie ahead. Number 12. Root access to the liver. Imagine a garden where you furiously pull weeds, cursing the day nature created those yellow flowers. The dandelion seems like system junk to us, an annoying bug on a perfect green lawn, but hidden underground is a root containing taraxesterol, a substance holding unique administrative privileges in our body. A brew from these roots triggers deep stimulation of the gallbladder, forcing it to flush the liver with incredible power. This is a full disc formatting, washing away accumulated toxins and resetting errors that even expensive synthetic hepatoprotectors cannot always handle. We pay huge money for pretty pharmacy boxes, trying to save our filtering organ, while the most effective cleaning tool grows for free beneath our feet, begging to be picked. We have been brutally trolled. The key to liver health was disguised as the most hated weed in the world. Number 13. The Green Memory Patch. Yet another example of how we ignore system updates because of their dull interface. A sprig of parsley sitting lonely on the edge of a restaurant dish is perceived solely as a decorative texture with no functional purpose. Most people just push it aside with a fork. But hidden inside this humble plant is apigenin, an incredibly rare compound that stimulates neurogenesis at the source code level. Simply put, it forces our brain to grow new neurons and form fresh synaptic connections. This is a physical RAM upgrade for our biological computer, improving focus and protecting the processor from age-related decay. We desperately search for nootropics, drink liters of energy drinks, and try to overclock our intellect with chemical stimulants, while the brain upgrade quietly dries up on the edge of the plate. The simulation creators hid the memory expansion module in the most boring greens just to test if we can look past a pretty presentation. Number 14, crunchy spackling paste. Winter, dim light, a plain head of white cabbage sits on the table, arguably the most prosaic and unromantic vegetable in our arsenal. We treat it with condescending indifference. However, its juicy leaves hide what is known as vitamin U, or S-methylmethionine. This unique element acts in our gastrointestinal tract like a crew of microscopic builders with buckets of spackle. Upon encountering ulcers, gastritis, and mucosal erosions, fresh cabbage juice physically begins to scar over the damage, restoring the integrity of the stomach's defensive textures faster than many medications. Pharmaceutical companies cracked this secret long ago and produced serious pharmacy drugs based on this substance for decent money. But the raw system log states that fresh cabbage juice delivers this patch faster, absorbs better, and requires no prescription. We are used to seeking healing from white coats, when in reality, the best gastroenterologist looks like a green sphere and is sold by weight at the nearest vegetable stand. Number 15, the sour milk blockchain. Supermarket shelves are packed with brightly labeled yogurts fortified with bifidobacteria, promising us lightness and health. We obediently buy these sweet little cups, unaware that the real revolution sits on the next shelf in a plain cardboard box. Ordinary kefir contains kefirine, a unique polysaccharide found in no other cultured milk product, including trendy yogurts. This complex bacterial structure acts as a decentralized network inside our blood vessels. It physically lowers blood pressure, suppresses hidden inflammatory processes, and stabilizes the entire system. This is an exclusive firmware update that cannot be downloaded from anywhere else. While trendy products waste resources on marketing and sweet flavorings, the harsh kefir grain silently does the job of a system administrator, gaining root access to our immunity. Marketers played us for fools, selling us a pretty animation instead of truly working code. Number 16, a sweet hacker exploit. The smell of this spice is purely associated with home comfort, holiday seasons, and hot buns that inevitably lead to a metabolic overload. We always thought it was just a flavoring, a nice bonus to a carb coma, but looking into the biochemical code reveals a completely different picture. Half a teaspoon of pure cinnamon a day holds the unique ability to copy insulin's behavior in our body. From the perspective of the body's cybersecurity, this spice literally forges admin rights. When blood sugar levels start bouncing uncontrollably, threatening to crash the whole system, cinnamon's components take over, authorize the glucose, and drive it straight into the cells, bypassing the complex bureaucracy of the pancreas. This is a pure exploit that radically drops system overloads after a meal. We thought we were treating our taste buds, but we were actually installing an illegal patch to normalize blood sugar. Apparently, the Matrix lets us cheat our glucose levels if we use the right spicy access keys. Number 17, grain cleanup. The most boring breakfast in human history hides features that anti-aging clinic creators can only dream of. Ordinary slow-cooked oatmeal, those rough oats you really have to chew, contains a high concentration of beta-glucans. In the gut, these substances turn into a viscous gel that runs like an automatic memory cleanup script. Beta-glucans physically bind to bile acids overloaded with bad cholesterol and forcefully export them out of the body. Our body is then forced to synthesize new bile, pulling excess cholesterol straight from the bloodstream. This is a perfect garbage collection algorithm that silently deletes corrupted and dangerous files from our circulatory system in the background. We choke down this tasteless porridge, dreaming of bacon and eggs, entirely unaware that a massive cleaning utility is currently running inside us, saving our arteries from inevitable clogging. Oats prove a harsh truth. The most effective code always looks incredibly boring. Number 18, the processor cooling illusion. Our body is so trusting that it can be fooled by the simplest data spoofing script. When irritable bowel syndrome makes our stomach cramp, we are ready to climb the walls from the brutal spasms. But drink a strong brew of peppermint and the magic kicks in. The menthol inside the leaves finds TRPM8 receptors in our digestive tract, which are responsible for sensing cold. It binds to them and sends the brain a false report about a drastic temperature drop. The system immediately reacts to this fake data. To prevent the organs from freezing, the brain issues a command to relax smooth muscle tissue. The spasms stop in 15 minutes. This is brilliant software deception, sensor spoofing that forces the system to cancel a panic attack. We drink tea thinking we are healing with herbs, but we are actually just feeding our internal processor fake thermometer data to force it to chill out. Number 19. Prickly Youth Rendering. A walk through an autumn forest can replace a trip to an expensive cosmetic clinic if you know where to look. Rose hip bushes with their bright red berries just look like raw material for grandma's fruit punch. But a system analysis shows that the vitamin C concentration in these fruits is 50 times higher than in highly advertised lemons. Just one glass of a proper brew completely covers the daily quota needed to synthesize our own collagen. That is the exact protein responsible for skin tension, wrinkle prevention, and joint durability. Rose hips work like a massive graphics card taking over the rendering of high-resolution textures for our biological avatar. We buy out creams with artificial collagen, whose molecules are too large to penetrate the skin, while the engine for generating our own youth grows for free in the nearest ditch, defending itself with thorns. The developers are openly laughing at us, watching us ignore free graphical update tools. Number 20. The acidic ad blocker. The sharp smell of this liquid usually reminds us of cleaning or questionable culinary experiments, but natural apple cider vinegar is not just a condiment, it is an aggressive software filter for our metabolic processes. If you mix 1 tablespoon into a glass of water and drink it before a high-carb meal, the acetic acid begins blocking the enzymes responsible for breaking down starch in the stomach. In the tech world, this is a 100% ad blocker. Carbs cannot quickly turn into sugar, their loading is throttled, and the system never gets a destructive insulin spike. You physically eat the exact same portion, but the calorie processing code executes with a massive delay, preventing the excess from converting into fat storage. We sweat for hours on treadmills trying to burn off our gastronomic mistakes, even though we could have just installed this acidic plugin and disabled the pop-ups of extra calories before the meal even started. Number 21. Watermelon overclocking. Every summer, we commit the exact same fatal system error. We buy a huge watermelon, eat the sweet red flesh, and methodically throw the seeds and thick white rind into the trash bag. The irony is that the red part is just a tasty tutorial, sugar water for beginners. The white rind and tough seeds we threw away contain record doses of citrulline. Once inside the body, this amino acid converts to arginine, acting as nature's Viagra and a massive vasodilator. This is pure hardware overclocking. Bloodstream bandwidth expands, pressure drops, and blood supply to all organs hits maximum capacity. We literally throw away the premium content that athletes and longevity enthusiasts pay top dollar for in sports nutrition stores, preferring to settle for the sweet demo version of the product. We were punished for seeking easy and sweet gameplay by having the main reward hidden in the worst tasting texture. Number 22. The Red Archiver. Culinary engineering sometimes requires brutal thermal intervention to unlock hidden potential. Fresh tomatoes in a salad are great, but from a biohacking standpoint, highly inefficient. Lycopene, the massive antioxidant protecting our cells from aging and malignant mutations, is securely locked inside the cell walls of a raw tomato. But if you mercilessly boil this vegetable, turn it into cheap tomato paste, and add a drop of any fat, a technical miracle occurs. Thermal processing destroys the cellular barriers, and the oil acts as the perfect transport protocol. As a result, lycopene is absorbed 4 times more efficiently. This is a culinary zip archiver. By boiling the product down, we compress the excess water, multiplying the density of useful code per megabyte of volume. The cheapest can of tomato paste from the supermarket carries more anti-aging armor than a kilogram of elite fresh tomatoes. Sometimes, to access secret files, the product must be thoroughly roasted in the system's furnace. At this stage, Reality's writers apparently went on a long lunch break and handed the plot to an intern who started mixing completely incompatible variables, turning ocean trash into a cure for death. Number 23. The Seaweed Task Manager. Walking on the beach after a storm, we disgustedly step over slimy brown algae washed ashore. Kelp looks like a rendering error, but sewn into its slimy structure is fucoidin. In lab conditions, this substance shows a terrifying ability to target cancer cells. It does not just poison them, it triggers apoptosis, a programmed cellular self-destruct. Fucoidin acts like the Alt F4 system command, forcefully closing malicious processes that spun out of control. Malignant cells literally receive an uninstall command and obediently execute it. We seek salvation in incredibly complex chemical compounds, while the ocean dumps megatons of flash drives loaded with ultimate antivirus software wrapped in green slime right onto the shore. Number 24, dark mode for weight loss. The strong cup of morning brew we make just to peel our eyes open hides features unavailable to trendy detox shakes. Black tea is traditionally considered less healthy than its pompous green sibling. However, the fermentation process that turns the leaves black creates special compounds called theaflavins. These large molecules are not absorbed into the blood. They stay in the gut and act as an exclusive prebiotic for a specific pool of bacteria responsible for accelerated metabolism and weight loss. This is essentially switching the digestive system to dark mode. The code starts running more efficiently, consuming less energy on background processes and burning reserves faster. We buy expensive capsule bifidobacteria hoping to lose weight, while ordinary, bitter, pitch black tea silently optimizes our internal server capacities. The cheap classic beats the expensive innovations once again. Number 25, grain firmware for hormones. The ultimate symbol of grocery panic in any crisis, buckwheat is actually more than just a carb filler for an empty stomach. Beneath its brown faceted shell lies chiroinositol, a molecule with a phenomenal impact on the female endocrine system. Functional medicine doctors prescribe this substance in expensive supplements for polycystic ovaries to normalize hormones and restore insulin sensitivity. Once in the body, chiroinositol runs a hard motherboard calibration, resetting glitched hormone settings back to perfect factory defaults. This is a low-level formatting of the endocrine system, packed into the most accessible and unassuming grain in the world. We are used to hoarding this product out of fear of the apocalypse, without realizing that the code for survival and balancing our biological core is already hard-coded into every kernel. The most boring side dish turned out to be highly complex medical software. Number 26, crunchy pressure release. This watery green stalk always felt like a torture device for people on a diet. Celery has almost no calories, takes serious effort to chew, and has a very specific taste. Yet its true purpose lies far beyond dietetics. Its fibers contain phthalates, unique chemical compounds that target the muscular walls of our blood arteries. They force the blood vessel corsets to relax, acting as emergency pressure release valves in an overheating steam boiler. Arterial bandwidth increases, blood flow slows down, and hypertension retreats without heavy pharmacology. This is elegant bandwidth limitation, throttling the blood flow to protect the hardware from wear and tear. We thought we were just chewing crunchy water for no reason, but we were actually manually turning the valves of our internal highways, saving the system from a critical pipe burst. Number 27, the berry Teflon. Sour berries in a swamp look like bait for naive travelers, but they hide mechanics worthy of elite design engineers. Cranberry is famous for its aggressive taste, but its main power is proanthocyanidins. These substances have a mind-blowing feature. They do not kill the bacteria that cause cystitis. They do something much more sophisticated. Upon entering the bladder, proanthocyanidins coat its walls in an invisible slippery film, turning the surface into biological Teflon. Malicious bacteria simply lose the ability to stick to the mucosal lining. They slip, fall, and are flushed out of the system at the very first opportunity. In usability terms, it looks as if the developer made the interface elements unclickable for the virus code. The infection is there, but it physically cannot press the install button to anchor itself to the hard drive. A genius solution in its simplicity. No need to fight the enemy, just make the floor too slippery for an invasion. Number 28, orange protection. If you decide to optimize your cooking process and chop carrots before throwing them into boiling water, the matrix will immediately find you. Inside this bright root vegetable is falcarinol, a natural pesticide that protects the plant from fungal attacks underground, while acting as a massive tumor growth blocker in the human body. But this code features strict copy protection. If you break the physical integrity of the carrot before boiling, 70% of this precious substance is simply washed into the water and destroyed. This is classic tamper protection. Trying to open the device before the warranty expires leads to a total wipe of useful data. To get the anti-cancer buff, carrots must be boiled entirely whole, keeping their architecture intact. We are always rushing, chopping veggies to save a few minutes, and as a result, we eat empty orange fiber, voluntarily pouring the most complex evolutionary defense protocol straight down the drain. Number 29, the fermented navigator. The process happening in a glass jar on the balcony surpasses the complexity of many chemical labs. Sauerkraut is not just a snack, it is a giant bioreactor where trillions of bacteria toil away. During fermentation, they synthesize vitamin K2, an ultra-rare element playing the role of a high-precision logistician in our body. When we consume calcium, it often behaves like a lost data packet, settling in the kidneys as stones or calcifying blood vessel walls. Vitamin K2 takes this wandering mineral by the hand and routes it to the correct IP address, straight into bone tissue and teeth. This is a perfect routing protocol that prevents system conflicts and directs resources exactly where they belong. We eat sour cabbage for the crunch and tradition, unaware that we are downloading an advanced navigation system to manage our mineral streams, saving our arteries from inevitable petrification. Number 30, the herbal antivirus. A tiny leaf lost among other spices packs such destructive force that pharmaceutical giants had to surrender to its efficiency. Thyme contains the essential oil thymol. This substance does not just kill bacteria, it obliterates their cell membranes with the ruthlessness of a hardcore firewall wiping infected sectors. Thymol's efficiency is so undeniable that the creators of famous mouthwashes, those synthetic neon liquids, still add it to their formulas. We buy aggressive chemicals in plastic bottles for huge money, trusting in the power of modern labs, even though the core active component of this potion grows in the nearest meadow and costs as much as dust. We were sold a pretty antivirus box, while its core engine was written by nature thousands of years ago and uploaded to open source for everyone. Number 31, ginger fast travel. The burning root we are used to seeing next to our sushi hides a time traveling feature. When digestion halts, causing heaviness and bloating, it feels like the system has completely frozen and needs a hard reboot. This is when gingerol comes to the rescue, the active compound in ginger that structurally resembles capsaicin from hot peppers. Upon hitting the stomach, gingerol does not just stimulate the walls, it accelerates their emptying process by an unbelievable 50%. This is a fast travel button on the gastronomic map. The food block that was supposed to sit there like dead weight for hours instantly teleports to the next level of the digestive tract, unfreezing the system and clearing the heaviness. The developers gave us a button to skip the boring digestion loading screens, but for the sake of balance, they made sure this exploit burns your tongue every time you use it. Number 32, the walnut respawn. Even the visual resemblance of this kernel to a human brain feels like a blatant spoiler from the creator. A walnut by itself does not hold the final cure, it holds the source code, ellagic acid, and here begins the magic of symbiosis. Our gut bacteria compile this acid, turning it into urolithin A. This unique compound triggers a process called mitophagy in our cells. It literally forces cells to scan their mitochondria, find the old, broken power stations and ruthlessly destroy them, instantly building brand new ones in their place. This is a permanent respawn at the cellular level, deleting damaged instances and generating fresh objects. We search for longevity secrets in cryo chambers and genetic engineering, while the hardware rejuvenation algorithm is launched by a handful of nuts and the proper functioning of our bacterial servers. Nature gave us a tool for infinite updates, but made us crack through a thick shell to get it. Number 33, the soup Botox. What usually goes into the trash after carving meat is actually the ultimate secret of the beauty industry. We boil bones and cartilage for hours on end, complaining about the weird smell and the long process. But hidden within this slow boil is the mining of premium currency from trash loot. As the cartilage breaks down, pure hyaluronic acid is released into the broth. This is the exact molecule people pay cosmetologists thousands of dollars for enduring painful facial injections for mere milligrams. Hot bone broth delivers this moisturizing code straight into the bloodstream, patching our external textures and smoothing out skin polygons from the inside. It is an epic marketing failure. The most expensive substance for preserving youth can literally be brewed from scraps on a home stove for pennies. We pay fortunes for syringe injections, oblivious to the fact that the cheat code for perfect skin was always hiding at the bottom of a pot of grandma's soup. We are closing the doors of the System Absurdity archives, but the reality server keeps running. This world was never perfect. It is full of bugs, lazy code, and paradoxes where the most valuable cure is hidden in potato scraps, onion skins, and weeds. We looked for salvation in high tech, while the great developer simply scattered medkits across grocery shelves, ironically watching to see if we would figure out how to use them. Our body is not a fragile vase. It is a resilient machine capable of repairing itself if given the right grocery crutches. But the database cannot be complete without your input. We need to update the system logs. Write in the comments fact number 34. What other household cheat code or culinary bug do you use to hack your biological spacesuit? Share your discoveries, and maybe your script will save someone's system from a critical crash. See you in the next patch notes of our weird but beautiful reality. Logging off.